It's recording.
Yay!
Hey everyone, I'm Danni.
Hello, and I'm Christine.
And we are Mojo
and Moxie. Oh, we've got that down almost to a science.
Exactly. And we're here tonight with our Wednesday wine chat. Cheers.
What are we talking about today, Danni?
Today we're going to chat about perimenopause and menopause.
Oh, yes.
It's that time of our lives where we are starting to feel a little different.
Yeah. But tell me, menopause is for old ladies. That's all I've got to say, right?
Well, you feel like that when you are young and your mom is going through it.
Mm-hmm.
You think of it as, yes, for older women, but I don't feel like we're old.
No, like I thought that I would be like closing in on, the very end of my life when I went through menopause. Like, it's funny how you're going to think about things,
Yeah.
And when my mom went through it, I didn't remember thinking she was old, and she wasn't. But to me, in my head, it seems like a grandma thing.
Right.
It's not, obviously.
No, it can happen really at any time between the ages. Some women are as young as 35 and they start having symptoms of perimenopause before they hit full-blown menopause. So it can really go for a long time. And then sometimes you have those symptoms and you don't know you're having the symptoms of perimenopause. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but I think my first symptom was, I think I sort of had a hot flash, but I'm not sure I had a hot flash. I think it could have been, was it anxiety, which is quite common, is people who don't have anxiety, when they start having perimenopause symptoms, can have anxiety. So for me, I think that might have been my first. What was maybe a first sign for you?
Well, for me, I will say I think that it started with me becoming very absent. I don't know whether it was absent-minded or forgetful, but in a weird way. I would lose track of conversation, like how you're talking and all of a sudden you're like, what was I talking about?
Yes.
My brain is like racing and I was like, oh my God, like I don't know what's going on. And I didn't recognize it as anything. I didn't didn't connect the dots until after.
Right. And sometimes I think maybe we didn't connect it because as busy moms that we're multitasking so much that we have, I would contribute it to having so many things going through my head that I would lose track of that. And then my family is like, come on, spit it out. What are you saying? And I'm like, I know what I need to say. It just wasn't,
Get it out. And so it's funny because, I don't think that your mind immediately goes there.
No.
I almost put it to like thinking about a girl who is maybe 12 or 11 and she starts to feel like, bloated, or she starts to feel cranky, or she starts to smell, or whatever, like all those different things that when you start going through puberty. You're not thinking yet it's puberty. You're like, oh, I'm still a little girl. And you are still a little girl, And so, and then, once you get your period, maybe you look back and say, oh, okay. That's why I was craving chocolate. That's why I was such a bee to my mom. That's why,
Yeah.
So I think now, I guess full disclosure, I have completely gone through menopause, and Danni, you're just sort of
starting some symptoms of it. Yeah.
We're the same age. In fact,
I'm old.
I'm just a little bit younger, like by a couple weeks. It's interesting. So it can hit people at different times.
Yeah.
Obviously, and we are not old. I wouldn't say particularly for being completely through it.
Right.
I'm 48, so that just so everyone has like a kind of time and a reference. So 48, already through it. My mom was early. I don't recall exactly when she was completely through it, but she was early as well. And so that's kind of an interesting side note, is that we're both the same age, but going through completely different.
Yeah. Right.
I would say it wasn't until I started getting semi-consistent hot flashes that I actually put together some of the symptoms. And I would say I'm still putting together symptoms.
Right. Yes. Well, I mean, even though you are now in menopause, you could still have different symptoms come up just because of those hormone fluctuations and the increase of certain hormones. So, yeah, I mean, it can change. You think that, okay, I got it down pat, and then all of a sudden something happens and you totally change to a different symptom.
Totally.
Right. So, one of the things that I have started to struggle with is the incontinence side of menopause. Running and you pee your pants, or you jump and you pee your pants, or that kind of thing. So, but again, some months are better than others.
Yeah.
Right. So
that must be hormone related, right?
Yeah.
Yes, because here's a great example. Even like a couple, let's say maybe 3 months ago, I think I told you I was like jumping rope, and I was like, because I do this fitness thing that has a lot of jump rope.
Yeah.
And I started being like really not wanting to do it because I would like literally pee my pants. And I was doing it at home, so it wasn't a big deal, but it's gross and it's uncomfortable. And so I kind of stopped doing that. And then interestingly enough, last week I tried jumping rope again, and I didn't have any problems. It was totally fine.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
You just don't know right now. There's so much happening behind the scenes.
Yeah. So, Danni, you're a holistic nutritionist, and so you know lots about like hormones and everything. So, what's the like gist of it, like in just layman's terms, about what we're going through?
Well, it's just a natural way of your body changing out of those childbearing years, basically, right? We no longer need estrogen, so our body just naturally stops producing it and produces other hormones to replace, basically. And so, and that whole transition and the changes create different symptoms in your body, and everybody is different.
Yeah.
Different symptoms and how they feel. So, there is never a right and a wrong way to go through menopause.
Yeah, totally.
Perimenopause. And so I think that's where the discussion needs to come in with women and with their healthcare practitioners, especially when they go to talk to them about certain things. I know, sometimes it gets sloughed off as not being part of menopause, or, but there are lots of different symptoms that happen. So
yeah,
and there's lots of different ways of dealing with them, and everybody is different with that too. Whether you go a natural route, whether you take, HRT, whether you do nothing, it's your own real preference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I read an article recently, actually by Oprah, and she said that she was using some sort of, I don't know whether it was a cream or something that she put under her tongue every day, something she used. And her best friend, Gail, of course, absolutely refused. She was like, absolutely not. I am not taking anything. I'm not, but in the article. It wasn't actually really an article. It was just like a introduction. Probably it was in the forward to one of her magazines or something like that. Like, so here it is. I did this. My best friend didn't. I needed it to function throughout the day because I so did not feel like myself.
Yes.
And then
that is but you sort of hit the nail on the head. I don't feel like myself.
Totally.
Right? That's the whole thing of menopause and going through perimenopause.
Right. Yeah. You're just like, and yeah, I would say there's a lot of weird things. Sudden anger, like literally I'd be like losing my shit over like something that's really actually not that big of a deal, but I just literally blow up and then seethe about it. And then literally like the next day be like, that was weird.
Yeah. Well, I'm a crier. I've always been a bit of a crier. And so I find for a while there, things weren't hitting me emotionally, but now every once in a while, I just need to go and cry. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I always say women are more emotional like that anyways, but I agree. Like when you start doing something that's not how you usually are, then, you know, and even for me, like I'm a pretty like, routine and I like to get everything done and I have all my things. I find myself now, I used to be able to write a list in my head and kind of click it off as I went. Now, there's no way. There is no way. I need to write everything down and I get distracted so easy. So I'll be in the middle of doing it and then I'll like start on something and then I'm like, no. If I do that, I'm never going to get this done.
Yes.
You know, like I have to like force myself at my, I don't know whether it's concentration or whether it's just I'm scatterbrained or what. I don't know.
Yeah. It could be a combination of both.
Yeah. So I really have had to train my brain. Like I've had to say, okay, no, you don't do the next thing until you're finished this thing. Because otherwise, you know, all hell.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And well, there's endless things that we could talk about, which we're going to talk about in lots of other evenings. We're going
to go into a little bit more depth in regards to
each kind of symptom and like talk about it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So other symptoms, crazy, weird hair growth. Like,
yes.
Like, first of all, furry face, like kind of a furry face.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which we need
a little mustache
in detail. You know, like the next time we'll talk about like different things with them because I have all these questions. Random like chin hairs that grow like this long overnight.
Yeah.
And you're like, look in the rear view mirror and you're like, how come no one told me I had this massive hair hanging out of my chin?
Or you got acne that for people who've never had it before, all of a sudden get it. And they're like, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that goes away when you're through it?
I don't know. I hope so because I do that. For me, that was also something that changed was all of a sudden I was getting more acne, which I never struggled with at all as a teen or anything. Every once in a while I get a little pimple. My doctor told me that, you know, she just says, if you don't get it as a teen, you're going to get it sometime. That's what my doctor told me. But yeah. I mean, skin changes.
Yes.
Dryness,
rough patches.
Yeah.
I'm sure like we could blame a lot of the skin changes that we have on menopause. Right? Because we're losing what?
When you lose collagen
when
hyaluronic acid. Yeah.
That's kind of a
hyaluronic acid.
What else is on your list of things lovely symptoms that? that you watch?
I think, for the most part, sleep interruption.
Yeah.
Right. And again, for certain people, it doesn't happen all the time. I sort of go in spurts. And I think because I'm still in that stage of my cycle, so I'm still getting my period. So I go in spurts with that, depending on my hormone fluctuations. And it's interesting, your hormones just need to fluctuate just a little bit to throw you off a lot.
Really?
Right.
Totally.
Yeah.
So one thing that I noticed that I actually now have connected to menopause was dizziness. So I can be literally, like, I've always had low blood pressure. So sometimes when I stand up, I get dizzy.
Yeah.
I'm used to that. I know to kind of grab a wall in the morning or whatever when I get up too fast, because that's kind of what my body does. Not a surprise. So all of a sudden, though, I would be driving and like a wave of dizziness would come over me. A split second, just a split second, but that's then I'm thinking that is another symptom of menopause, which I was like, okay, now, like, I was starting to think that, well, am I going to experience vertigo? Am I, like, what's going on?
What's going on?
And you think I'm getting sick. What's, you think it's something else.
Yeah.
Actually, most likely menopause. I mean, it could be something else, but
that's not always the first. Menopause isn't the first thing that jumps to your mind when you have a symptom.
No, it never is. So dizziness, dry everywhere. Mm-hmm. So of course, you get super bad vaginal dryness. So that's really like awful and horrible and painful, and your skin thins, so in all your membranes, so it can be extremely painful. So we'll talk about that in another. That's
a whole other bottle of wine.
That wine Wednesday, we'll have to have a few before we have the conversation. Libido. Libido is a major one. Major. I've had so many women talk to me about that. It's actually kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. And upsetting. And yet, like, it's awkward to talk, of course, to, like, you kind of talk to your friends, but that's kind of awkward too. And then unless you have a doctor who's super open, like my doctor is like crazy open and asks like really crazy questions. She doesn't give you time to feel uncomfortable, which is kind of good. So she kind of knows where, she kind of, oh, she's got a situation.
All right.
So it's that's an interesting one. What else did forgetfulness is,
hair loss.
See, I haven't really noticed that in a huge way yet, but maybe like I've had a lot of the other symptoms. So maybe,
right. Yeah, maybe you won't get that one.
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, sleep interruption. And of course, we sort of touched on hot flashes. Everyone knows hot flashes and makes jokes about it. But when we we need to have a night just on hot flashes. Funny stories about hot flashes. Like funny stories like you're a dog hanging your head out the window while your husband drives down the freeway and you're like ripping your blouse off. Yeah. Because you're literally sweating. Yeah. We got some good stories.
We got some good stuff coming up.
We just kind of like, let's just touch on the surface of what all of us are going through. I'm sure many of the women watching are like, oh yeah, yes. Weight gain.
Oh yes.
So,
especially
around the stomach. Right? So, it's funny because like I I haven't gained any weight, but my waist has gotten
thicker, probably thicker.
So it's interesting, and I would never have known that except for my doctor keeps a log, and I can log into it and look.
Oh, okay.
He would never tell me that,
Right?
but I can look, and so I've seen that my weight has changed 0.2 of a pound, and my waist has gotten 2.5 inches. Yeah, which is kind of crazy. I don't know what it is because I don't notice it. I don't notice it in my clothes or whatever, but obviously it's happening. So that's a big one.
Yeah.
Now, lots of people gain weight too, which is tough, really, really hard.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's harder to keep weight off as you get older.
Yeah.
Bone density.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had a bone density test yet. Have you?
No.
No, me neither. So my doctor said 50. She doesn't want to do it before 50.
Right.
So,
yeah. But for someone like you who lifts weights and exercises, you're constantly building bone too. So, exercise is super important during this time, not only for your body health, but for your mental health.
I agree that I don't think I could have gotten through this without exercise for sure. Even if it's just a walk.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be like crazy. In fact, I would say that I'm doing less of like the kind of crazy cardio. I feel like I do enough cardio, but that just getting my heart rate up a little bit is just clears your head.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So yeah, lots of things. I mean, you could go on, and we will.
We will. And we will. So let's cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Let's hope that we do many more of these lovely menopause wine Wednesdays, because we all need them. And
we need to open the conversation. Open the conversation.
Open the conversation.
Yes. So
cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Happy hour.